So we talked about how to use sine law, find missing sides and equals in non-right triangles, but sine law doesn't work every single time because you don't have the proper information to set it up and solve for your missing side or angle. So we need another law, and that's cosine. And cosine law looks like this. So you've got a non-right triangle. This one is ABC with angles capital A, capital B, capital C, and sides little a, little b, little c that are opposite. The little letters are opposite their capitals. So cosine law says if we want to find the length of one side, we're going to square it, and it will equal the other two sides squared, added together. Subtract 2 times one of the other sides times the other side times the cosine of the angle opposite the side we're trying to find. I know it looks a little complicated, but you guys usually figure it out. And besides, it's on your formula sheet. Okay, so you don't even need to put it on your reference sheet, it will be on the formula sheet. And then you can, I mean, there's two other variations of it where you can find b squared, and it's going to be the other two sides squared and added together minus 2 times those other two sides multiplied together times the cos of the angle opposite the side we're trying to find. And then you can do the same thing for c squared. Just remember when you set it up, these are opposite each other. One side of the angle. And like I said, you're going to get this. So you don't even have to put it on your right sheet. When we use the cosine law, two situations really. One, we're given two sides, the angle between them, and we're asked to find the third side. So we could be given these two sides and this angle, and then we're asked to find out. Or we're given all three sides and we're asked to find one of the angles. Those are the only times we use cosine law. The other times we use, okay? Because you can't use sine law in this situation. Remember I said sine law, you need to know an angle and its side opposite. Well, here you don't know an angle and its side opposite. You know this angle, but you don't know this. You know these two sides, but you can't figure out those angles. So we can't use sine law. So we set out cosine for this one. So we're given capital A, we're trying to find little a. So little a squared will equal the other two sides squared added together. So 20.5 squared plus 46.9 squared minus 2 times those sides multiplied together. Times the cos of the angle that's opposite the side we're trying to find, which is 35 degrees. And then it's just a matter of calculating order of operations, and then at the end square root to find A. So, I mean, you can do this all in one shot if you want. Or you could do this piece, and then subtract them. It's up to you. Okay. So if I do 20.5 squared plus 46.9 squared, I'm going to get 2,619.86. So I did this portion here. Then when I do this portion, 2 times 20.5 times 46.9 times cos 35. And if I round it to 2 decimal places just to keep it consistent with this, I get 1575.15. That's a square. Subtract those two. So 2619.86 minus 1575.15 gives us 1,044.71. And then just square root both sides. You don't have to take the negative, positive, and negative square root. Normally you do, but you can't have a negative answer. So A is going to be approximately, and we can go to 1 or 2 decimal places, doesn't really matter. We weren't asked. So we'll say it's approximately 32.3. So that's using cosine law to find the side. Another example. Here we've got 2 non-right triangles. And we are asked to find side y and side x. Well, side y is part of the top triangle, and it's also part of the bottom. I have enough information here that I can use cosine law to find y. And then once I have y, I have enough information here to use cosine law again to find x. So you're really just doing cosine law twice. So let's find y squared. That's going to equal the other 2 sides in that triangle squared and added together. So 10 squared and 6 squared. Minus 2 times 10 times 6. Times the cos of the angle that's opposite y, which is 70 degrees. So again, you can do it all in one shot, or you can do it together. If I square those and add them together, I get 136. 2 times 10 times 6 times cos 70 gives me about 41.04. So I'm going to say about, I'm going to round just 41. I subtract those 2, I get 95. Square root of them both. And I get approximately 9.7. From 1. Now we've got enough information in the bottom non-right triangle to find x. And we set it up the same way. So x squared is going to equal those other 2 sides, 9.7 squared plus 6 squared minus 2 times those other 2 sides multiplied by each other times the cos of its angle opposite 140 degrees. So if I square these and add them together, I get 130.09 minus 2 times 9.7 times 6 times cos 140. You got to be careful with this one, because when you do this, you're going to get a negative. So it's actually going to be 2 negatives. And if I round that to 2 decimal places, I'm going to get 89.17. So this changes to plus. okay? Because we're subtracting, and then when I do that multiplication, I get a negative, so it changes to addition. Which, if you think about pre-calc, makes sense, because when you think of all snakes talk crap, the cosine of any angle in quadrant 2 is always going to be negative. The only ones that are going to be positive in quadrant 2 is sine. The other ones are going to be negative. So whenever you take the cos of an angle between 90 and 180, it's always going to be a negative answer. So we add those together. Get 219.26 square root gives us the final answer for x of like 14.81 if I were to decimal places, or just 14.8 if I go to 1. Okay, this next one we're asked to find an angle. Now, when you guys, the three of you, took pre-calc last year in grade 11, we used the cosine law formula to figure out an angle. And it got a little complicated because you had to move things around and then you had to do inverse cos. There's actually another formula that you get where you can not have to worry about that. And this formula, like I said, will be given. First of all, what's the smallest angle in this side, in this triangle? C. And how can you find it? It's always opposite the smallest side. So it's opposite smallest side. Which in this case will be angle C. The general formula to find a missing angle is this. The cos of the angle, A, will equal the other two sides besides little a squared and added together minus the side opposite angle A squared divided by 2 times the other two sides multiplied together. And again, you will get this. This is actually much easier to use. I'm going to start using it in my calc class. You may have seen it. I think Ms. Wilkes did it. I never did it. Okay, so how do we fill in everything properly? Well, we're finding C, so it's going to be cos C the side opposite angle C is 5. So I see these are the other two sides, 7 and 8. So I square those and add them together. Those are the other two sides. Then I subtract the side opposite C squared and divide that by 2 times the other two sides multiplied by each other. So when you square these, add them together, and subtract this squared, you're going to get 88. 2 times 7 times 8 is going to give you 112. So if cos C is this, how do I find just C? What do I got to do to get rid of cos? Cos inverse. Cos inverse takes out cos. cos inverse of this side. So then you would do the cos of 88 divide 1, sorry, the cos inverse of 88 divide 112. And I just rounded it to 2 decimal places. Get approximately 32.9 degrees. Much easier to use than the other cosine law formula.
0.9, 30.
Oh, sorry. Oh, what am I saying? 32.9, 38.2. Where did you get 32.9 from? Sorry about that. That's what I had in my notes. Yeah, that was a little weird.
Judging, it's less than half the bottle.
Actually, the third one this week.
Wait, check, no. It's one step, it's 2, that means the other half is. Yeah, it's this week. Yeah, it's the second day of the week. Oh, here, time Saturdays. Something, a little, yeah.
You know what the password is to get into her account to check her schedule and report charts and stuff?
I do.
Diabetes.
Okay. The crap, yeah.
Last one. We're asked to solve this triangle, which means we got to find all the missing angles. Well, you've got some options, except for the first step. Because you're given all 3 sides, and you don't know any of the angles, you can't use sine law. You have to use cosine law to find one of the first angles. Then we've got some choices. Okay? So it really doesn't matter which one. Let's find A. So the cos of capital A, remember that formula, will be the other 2 sides besides 66.7, which is opposite angle A. We square those and we add them together. Then we subtract the side opposite A squared. And divide that by the 2 times the other 2 sides multiplied together. And then it's just straight up, punch it all into your calculator and do cos inverse. So, actually, I'm going to cheat a little bit. You should get cos capital A 2,695.44 divide 7,135.92. And then to get a cos inverse each side. And for A, you will get approximately 67.8 degrees. So we got one. Now we've got options to find B and C. Because we now know a side and its angle opposite, which means we could use sine law. Or you could use cosine law again. Either one is going to get you the correct answer. So because I know a side and the angle up, I'm just going to use sine law for this one to find the next one. And we might as well go to B. So for B, it's going to be 61.2 over the sine of angle B. Will equal Well, the other fraction, I have to know both numbers, so I have to use this. 66.7 over the sine of 67.8. And remember, to get rid of fractions, cross multiply. So we're going to get 66.7 times the sine of angle B equals 61.2 times the sine of 67.8. Should be putting degrees. We've got to get rid of the times 66.7 to get sine B by itself. So I'm going to divide both sides by sine 66.7. And I get sine B equals 61.2 times the sine of 67.8 degrees divided by the 66.7. Then to find B, I sine inverse both sides. Don't forget how to do that. And I believe you get 58.2. Is that right? Chloe? Okay. Emma, did you get that? Okay. So that's B, 58.2. That's two angles. Find the angle C, I've got even more options. I could use cosine law again if I wanted to. I could use sine law again if I wanted to. Or the easiest way is just, because I know two of the angles now, just add them up and take them away from 180. That would be the quickest way to find C. So to get C, I would just do 180 minus 58.2 minus 67.8. And for C, looks like I'm going to get 54 degrees. And there's all three angles, part.